So we'll see four different types of programs where you may have to use some different files. Okay. So consider this first problem where you are asked to copy the contents from file 1 to file 2. Okay. So let's assume that you have two files. Let me call this first file as file1.txt, and there is another file called as file2.txt. Just assume that there exists some data inside the file 1 and file 2 is of course blank. Okay, and what I want is I want the complete contents of file 1 to be copied to file 2. Okay, so of course I will have to make two file pointers. Okay, one that points to file 1 and one that points to file 2. Okay, so I will have to write, let's consider you can take any name. Okay, so I'll take FPI, indicating that the input file is pointed by FPI. Okay, so this will be F open. Just mention that this is file1 .txt, comma, and I'll open it in the read mode. Okay, because I want to read the data from file. And similarly, I will take another pointer FPO which will point to file 2. So I can take it in the W mode, that is write mode. Okay, indicating that I want to write some data over file 2. Okay, so now logically this FPI points to file 1 and this FPO points to file 2. Okay, so you will create two file pointers, and with the help of compiler we will see how to copy each and every character from file 1 to file 2. Okay, but before that what you can do is you can just pause the video, try to write down the solution on your own. It would be better if you try it with a compiler, but if not compiler, but then at least try to solve it on the paper. Okay, so you can now pause the video, and when we'll resume, you can just rectify your solution with the solution that I have given. Okay, so you can just pause the video.
So initially this program may sound you something like a illogical thing, because let's say if you want to copy the contents from one file to another, what you can just do is copy all the data and paste it on the another file. Okay, but that is not the aim for this program. The actual aim is to how to handle multiple files, or let's say more than one file inside a single program. Okay, so this is the program or the solution for this program that I asked you to solve. So if you observe, I have created basically two file pointers. One is FPI, one is FPO. FPI is pointing to file1.txt and FPO is pointing to file.txt. Okay. First file has been opened in the read mode, and the second file has been opened in the write mode. Okay. I can write it like this. Writing like this is fine. If you want to just write it everything in the single line, so you can just do file star fpi equal to this thing and file star fpo equal to f open. Okay. One more thing is that this file name can be stored in a character string like this. So I can take it like char file name equal to file1.txt, and in place of this thing I can pass this string file name. Doing such kind of stuff is also fine. Okay, so it depends on you whether you want to directly quote the file name over here, or you want to store the file name in the string format and then quote a string over here. Okay. So both the things are fine. So now we'll talk about the logic of this program. What I have done is just firstly I have taken each character by the function fgetc. Okay, and while that character does not reach to the end of the file, I keep on putting it, or rather printing it, on the output file. Okay, and then continuously scanning. Okay. I have already told you that first scanning of the first letter manually is important, because it may happen that the complete file is blank. Okay, so the end of file character, that is the EOF character, might be present at the starting itself. Okay, and in that case you don't need to print or output anything on the output file. Okay, so the first step that you should do is you should scan the character, the first character, by just writing fget c, or in place of this you can also write fscanf, just mention fpi over here, tell the format specifier, and tell the variable that you want to use for storing the character. Okay, and then the same thing can be used in place of this statement also. Okay? And in place of f put c, you can also use f printf. Okay, you just need to be careful about the syntaxes. Okay, so what this logic doing is uh, it first scans the first character, and while that first character has not reached to the end of the end of file character, that means the function is used for detecting whether the character is the EOF character. Okay, so while this FEOF remains 0, you have to keep on printing the scanned character on the output file and keep on scanning from your input file. Okay, as soon as the character or scanning reaches to the EOF character, this FEOF function will return you 1, and in that case this while loop will terminate. Okay, and at the end it is important to close both the files that you have opened. So I hope you have write down some similar logic of this. Okay, so you can just try executing this. So what we'll do is, first I will show what is there inside file 1 and file 2. Okay, remember that file1.txt and file2.txt as well as this program have to be stored in the same folder. Okay, so in this folder I have file1 and file2 stored. Okay, and the program that I showed you has been also stored in the same folder. Okay, so let's see what is inside file 1. Okay, so I have written some text inside file 1, and this text or this content I want to get copied into file 2. Okay, so initially file 2 is blank. Okay, so when you will open a file, okay, with this, if the file 2 exists already, okay, so it will not be created again. Okay, if the file does not exist, what this fopen will do is it will create a new document by its own. So let's see the execution. Okay, so the execution is over. I did not print anything on the screen. If you want to just cross check whether everything went successful, so what you can do is, after everything you can just print something, just for cross checking. You can just print end, or you can print successful. Okay. So when you will execute this thing, so end was printed, that means the program went successful. Okay, and let's check out the content of file 2 now. Okay. So whatever was there in the file 1 has now been copied to file 2. Okay, so file 1, inside the file 1 I had some text. Okay, now the similar text has been also copied to file 2. So that was the aim of this program.
So consider these two questions. Okay, you have been given a database sort of a thing. Okay, you can consider a bank database where some account number is given, a name is given, and the account balance is given. Okay, and what you have to do is this. Okay, so this data will be put on the screen. Okay, with the help of the keyboard. Okay, that you have to scan, and this database have to be stored in the file. Okay, so that is what question 2 means. And once the data has been stored in the file, okay, so let me explain you the question 2 first. So let's create a file. You can give it any name. Let's create a text file. Okay, so these records will be entered with the help of the keyboard by the user. Okay, you have to scan this data and put the complete database on the file. Okay, so the similar data will be over here. And on that file, what question 3 is asking is, you have to sort these records name-wise alphabetically. Okay, that means, and starting from alphabetically means starting from A in the lexicographical order. Okay, so the name of Doe should come first. Okay, then it should be Jones. Okay, then it should be Rich, and then it should be White. Okay, so I have to sort these records, okay, or I have to sort these individual rows according to the names, okay. So what you can do is, if I have asked you to just scan this data from the keyboard and store it on the file, it would be very simple thing, okay. But here what I have asked an additional thing is to sort these records, okay. Now, just sorting these records on the file is not a is not a very easy thing. Okay, so you'll have to think of something with which you can just try to sort those rows. Okay, because let's say if you apply some sorting algorithm, let's say bubble sort on these records. Okay, so if you find that and if you compare it, these names Jones and Dewey. Okay, and you have to basically swap these two rows, okay, and not just the names. Otherwise what will happen is, if you just swap the names, what will happen is the account number of 100, which is of Jones, will be allocated to Dewey, okay, and his balance will be considered as 2400. That is not I want, okay. If I am swapping these records, that means I am swapping both the rows, okay. So this Dewey's row should come first and the Jones row should come below that, okay. So that is what I want, okay. So can you think of a logic that, or let's say what additional thing you will have to consider over here, okay. So you can just think of, pause the video, think for a minute what you can do, and then I will tell you the easier way to do this, okay. Okay, so I hope that you have given a thought on how to solve this. So the best way to solve this is using structures, okay. So if you have watched the earlier videos, you will have idea of how the structures will be helpful, okay. If you haven't watched, then please go to the structures video and look at the array of structures video, okay. So what I can use is, let's create a structure. I will call it account tag. You can write it over here or anywhere, okay. So let's assume that this is here, okay. So I have created a structure, okay. So if you observe, you can assume that there are 4 persons, okay, and each of the person or each of the customer is having an account number. So let me declare account number, then it has some balance. So I can do, you can give any name of your choice. One name has been given, and then one character string, okay, to store the name of that customer, okay. So I have created a structure, okay, and while taking the input, what I will do is I will create array of this template or this structure, okay, and I can just store these records into that array of structures, and then you can just sort it out, okay. So the similar example has been taken up in the structures videos as well. You can first refer to that if you want more clarification. Otherwise what you can again do is, you have now got the idea of what exactly to do, okay. So you can just pause the video, try to design your own logic, try to design your own program, okay. Then you can just resume the video and check if you have done it correctly, okay. So now you can pause the video, and now we'll see the exact solution of this in the compiler.
Let's look at the solution of question number 2 first. What I had asked you to store those records in a file, okay, and the input will be coming from the keyboard. So I have taken a file test.txt where I will be writing all, or where I'll be actually storing the data first. Okay. So what I'll be requiring is one account number, one account balance variable, and one account name to store the name of the customer. Okay. And as per our conventional method, you can first scan the complete record, the first record, the very first record, okay, and then take a loop by detecting the end of the file character, okay, Okay, std in has been taken because you are taking the user input from the keyboard. Okay, and std in is basically a stream through which that input is provided to your program. Okay, so whenever there you will type in, or whether you whenever you will inject that EOF character by doing Control Z if you are using Windows, so that will go inside this std in. Okay, and this feof function will check the std in. Okay, if it finds Control Z over there, at that moment it will just terminate the loop. And whatever the data is firstly scanned, you can print it on the file by using fprintf. Okay, just mention the file pointer that you have taken over here, and along with all the format specifiers and the respective variables. Okay, and then you can scan the next record as well. So let's first see how the things work. So the file is test.txt. So let me just remove all the records from here. So test file has been manually created. Now it is empty. Let's execute this. So I'll put in the same records that I have shown you on the whiteboard. So once you are over with entering the data, what you can do is just inject the EOF character by pressing Ctrl plus Z. Okay. So by giving Ctrl plus Z, I am telling my terminal that you have to stop inputting the data. Okay. So at this moment, that FEOF std in will basically return you back 1. Okay. So 1 equal to 0 will terminate the loop. Okay. So enter. So now my data has been entered from the terminal, and let's check the test file now. So on test file you can observe the complete data has been printed. Now the question number 3 that I want to solve here is basically asking me to sort all these records name wise. So let's see how that is done. So this is the program for sorting those records. As I explained you, I have created a structure with account number and account balance and a character string for storing the customer name. I have given a name account for this, or I have given a tag for this structure definition. Okay, so account is basically will be used as a synonym for this complete structure now onwards. Okay, so what I'll be doing here is uh, I'll be first reading the data from my file. Then what I'll be doing is I'll be storing that data into the array of structures. Okay. Then I will sort that array, and the resultant arrays will be printed on the file called as out.txt. Okay. So if you want to print the data on the same file, so you can do so just by doing test.txt over here. But I am basically creating another file just to show you that what was the initial stage. That means what was the scenario before we sorted the records and what was the scenario after we sorted the records. Okay. So now in test.txt, I have all the records stored. Okay, they are basically jumbled up, they are in just a random fashion, and then I will try to first read in all the records. Okay, from test file. So what I will do is I will first uh, declare an array of structure with the name account. Okay, remember that account is a synonym for this structure. Okay, so account is basically user defined data type, and the array that I have taken is C. Okay, with 20 records and one temporary just to swap. Okay, one temp instance has been taken just to swap those records, okay, inside the sorting procedure. And I have taken a variable I equal to 0, basically which will keep record, or which will basically keep the track of the scanned records. Okay. So now I do take a loop, a while loop, to uh, just read in all the data For that, I have taken a function feof, just like we do it for every program, for just scanning, of course. So fpr is basically pointing to this test.txt. Okay, from that file, I am reading the data with the help of fscanf. Okay, mention the file pointer first, all the format specifiers, the three format specifiers, followed by all the variable names. Okay, and after one record has been scanned, okay, and stored in the array of structures, okay, which will be written as c of I, okay, then I just do I plus plus, so that the next record is stored at the next array member. So this will go on, okay, and once the end of the file character is uh, found out by this feof function, so this while loop will stop. Okay, at that moment the while loop will stop. Okay, and they can, and after this procedure, what you can calculate is the number of records that have been scanned from the file tester.txt. Okay, and that will be exact I minus 1. Okay, the reason for I minus 1 is when I plus plus will be done. Okay, so at that moment this while loop will terminate exactly one more uh, count than the actual records. Okay, so the number of records will be I minus 1. Okay, now I just close this tester.txt file. So now all the records are there in my C array, okay, which is of type account. So for this, I write down the sort logic, okay, for sorting the records name wise. So this is just a bubble sort procedure that we usually take. Okay. The comparison on names is done by strcmp. If you remember, this is a string function for comparing two strings. Okay. So it compares the strings, basically the name of those account holders. Okay. So c of j and c of j plus 1 dot account name. Okay. So if this is the case, okay, that means if the name of this one is greater than the name of this one, so it will return you back, the strcmp will return you back a value which is greater than 0. Okay, so that is why I have condition checked. If the result of strcmp of these two strings is greater than 0, then I will swap the records. Okay, and swapping will happen on c of j, okay, not on c of j dot account name. Okay, if you do the swapping on c of j dot account name, the names will be swapped, okay, and not the complete record, and that will lead to the inconsistency inside the records. So the swapping will happen on the complete record. Okay, this procedure has been illustratively explained in the array of structure videos. If you are not getting this logic, then you can go to that video and check how the records are sorted. Okay, so at the end of this sorting, okay, so my array of structures will have all the records in a sorted fashion. Okay, so those records I will now try to just print it on the file called as out.txt. For that, I have opened this file with a file pointer fpw with a write mode. Okay. So n is basically the number of records that I have. So I will take a loop which will run from 0 to n. And with this fprintf, I will write down, or I will output all the data on the file out.txt. So let's run this program. Okay. So the program has been successfully executed. So my initial data was there on test. Okay, as you can see, this was the database that I gave you for sorting. Okay, now let's look at the out file where I have kept all the sorted records. So you can observe all the records are sorted name wise. Okay, so Doi is coming first, followed by Johns, followed by Rich, followed by White. Okay, and the complete rows are swapped. Okay, you can observe that the complete rows are, that means the account number of Doi remains consistent. Okay, and the account balance also remains consistent. That is because we have sorted the records and not because we have swapped the complete records inside the sort logic, and we have not just swapped the names. So here you can see the all the records are just sorted.
Okay, so this is perhaps the very last question that I will ever ask you to solve. So you can just pause the video, read the questions, and then we'll look at the solution. Okay, I hope you have read the question. What it is asking you for is, I have a input file where I have some sentence written. It may include blank spaces. So what I have to do is I have to read in that line and I have to print the exact reverse of that line on the same file or some another file as well. Okay, so let's consider we have to print the reverse of a line on some another file. Okay, but this procedure have to be done by using a recursion. Okay, that means you cannot use a loop over here. Okay, and you cannot also use any array to store that line. Okay, so we will see how to do this by using a recursion. So this is the recursive function for reading the input from one file and then outputting it on the another file with the help of a recursion. Okay, so REV is the recursive function. So first I will explain the code and then with an example, and by drawing the stack I will explain you how exactly this code is going to run. Okay, so REV is the function. So ch is the variable under which I will be storing the currently scanned character. Okay, so you can just write char ch semicolon and then you can write ch equal to fget c fpr. So this equivalent of writing just char ch equal to fget c fpr. Okay, so fget c will scan the current character, okay, or the singleton character from the file pointed by the file pointer fpr. Okay, so initially you can assume that I have declared fpr as underscore in.text and I have opened it with a read mode. Okay, and whenever this ch is will be found to be of end of file, okay, that means if ch contains end of file character, then at that time you have to basically break that recursion. Okay, so whenever ch will be equal to eof, I will just return back, that means I will break the recursion. Okay, so this if condition is here the base condition. Okay, or if that is not the case, that means fget c is yet to reach at the EOF character, then what I will do is I will again make the call just so that the next character is read. Okay, and once this procedure stops, okay, so once it returns back, so it will return at this point. Okay, and from that point onwards, basically I will start printing in the reverse direction. Okay, so it might not be clear to you with this recursive logic, but once we draw the stack and understand how the things are working, so it will be much more clear to you. Okay, so let's consider I have two files, in.txt, out.txt. Okay, one is the input file, in.txt. I have written some data. Okay, so it is c blank space p dot. Okay, and what I want is on the output file as dot p space c. Okay, so that is the output that I want. Initially it will be blank. Okay, so because of the space constraint over here, I have taken a very small example. Okay, so just get the idea of this thing. So understand that in.txt is there. Okay, so this function is called from the main. So what happens is this REV is called. Okay, so the first call for REV is generated. Okay, inside that it is written that ch equal to fget c fpr. Okay, so fpr is the pointer that is pointing to this file. Okay, so from this file, okay, from this in.txt, I have to scan the character with the function fgetc and store that result in ch. Okay, so the first letter that will be scanned with help of fgetc is c. Okay, so now here ch will be equal to c. Okay, so you can mention it as a character. Okay, the next line says if ch equal to eof. Okay, is ch containing eof? No. Okay, it is containing c. Okay, so you can just imagine that here at the end one eof marker is there. Okay, which is generally invisible for a user, but it remains there. Okay, so one eof character is there. Okay, so we have to go on reading till we reach at this eof character. Right. So the currently scanned character is C, which has been stored to CH. Okay. The next step is, if this condition is not satisfied, so the next step is the next call to the same function. Okay. So it's a recursive call. So one more call is generated. Okay. But before that call is generated, this block will store a thing called as IP. Okay. If you remember this thing from the recursion classes, this will store the IP. That means whenever the call will return over here, it has to resume the execution from this point onwards. Okay, so IP will be stored at this point. Okay, so from F put C, I need to resume my execution whenever the control comes back. Okay. So I have saved the IP, okay, and the reverse call was made. So the next reverse call is this. Okay, so the reverse call is again made over here. So we'll start executing REV for the next definition. Okay, so CH says that it is equal to fget C FPR. Okay, so now the next character will be scanned and will be stored in the CH. So the next character is this blank space. Okay, if you can see, this is the blank space. Okay, so here in this call or in this block, a blank space will be stored inside the CH. Okay, so is CH UF? No, not yet. Okay, so this will be skipped. The next thing is REV. Okay, the recursive call. Okay, so one more call has to be made for the function REV. But before that call is made, I will store from where I have to resume when I will come back at this block. Okay, so this IP stores again this statement F put C, this complete statement. Okay, so the next call for the REV is made. Okay, so let's serve this. At this point, the new definition says CH is equal to fget C. Okay, so the new character scanned at this point is P. Okay, so P is scanned. Okay, so CH is still not it has not still yet reached to UF. Okay, so what I will do is I will again make a recursive call to REV, but before that I will store my IP over here. Okay, which is again F put C, the complete statement. Okay, so one more call to REV is made at this point. Okay. So now CH will store the next scanned character, which is this dot. Okay, or the full stop you can see. Okay, so CH has stored a dot. Okay, so the next step is CH is still not UF. So if condition is not satisfied, again there is one more recursive call to REV. But before I make a call, I will have to store the IP pointer. So I have stored it. The next recursive call for REV has been made. So CH equal to the next character that will be scanned is now EOF. Okay, so CH actually now stored this EOF marker. Okay, it is not this word EOF, but it's having some ASCII value. Okay, so this EOF is stored, and so at this juncture, this if condition is satisfied. Okay, so what it says, you have to return. Okay, return means you have to return to the point from where this function was called. Okay, so this will be popped out of the stack, of course, and this will return from the place this was called. Okay, so this was called from this call. Okay, so it returns at this position. Okay, so when it returns at this position, it has to resume its execution from this point. Okay, that means from F put C. So at this juncture, this statement F put C, what it will do, it will print whatever the data is there in CH variable on the file pointed by the FPW. Okay, so FPW is initially pointing at here. Okay, so on this file I have to put the character stored in CH. What is stored in CH at this point? It is a dot. Okay, so a dot will be printed, and since the execution is over at this point, this will also return back. Okay, so it will return back at this position. Okay, or at this block. At this block I have to put F put C CH. So at this point CH is storing value P. Okay, so that has to be printed on the file pointed by the FPW. Okay, so at this file I will print P. Okay, and then since the execution is over, this will also return back at this position. So at this position, CH is containing blank. Okay, so this blank will be printed over here. Okay, and this will also return back to this position. At this position, F put C will print whatever is there in CH. So at this point, C is there. Okay, so I will print C is there. Okay, so at this point, everything has been removed from the stack, and this will return back to the main. So, okay, so I hope you have understood the flow of the program. Okay, it's not that difficult if you understand the stack structure. Okay, so let's go back to the compiler and see the full-fledged solution of this.
So let's have a look at the full-fledged version of this program. Okay. So in.txt is the file from which I will read the data, and out.txt is the file to which I will output my data. So remember that this both these files in.txt and out.txt are stored in the same folder where my program exists. Okay. So fpr is the file pointer that I have created pointing to in.txt, and fpw is the file pointer that is pointing to out.txt. Okay. And inside the main, basically I have nothing to do. It's just so inside that there is just a call to my recursive function rev. Okay. So and this is the definition of that function that I just took on the board, which is rev. Okay. So in the I have stored some sentence. This is easy, and dot. Okay, so sentence is having some blank spaces as well, so you have to consider that as well. And out is just a blank file. So if you execute this thing, so the execution is over, nothing has to be printed on screen. And if we check out, so out will now have the complete reversed sentence of what was there inside the in.txt.
So there marks the end of our course of computer programming. I really hope that this moment should have come inside a classroom and not like a online class or a pre-recorded lecture. But there are certain things that I want to speak at the end of our course. I have covered almost 100% syllabus that was given to us. Okay. So I have done everything on my part. Okay. Now the onus is on you to solve the assignments. Take it very seriously because your final evaluation may be heavily dependent upon the assignment scores. Okay. So take them seriously and send them before the deadlines. Okay. Next thing that I want to tell you is after some days I will be releasing one feedback link, okay, probably through the CRs or the LR. So I request all of you to please draw 2 minutes from your life and please provide your valuable feedback for the course that I have taken up. So, and you can also, give your comments, your suggestions, your feedbacks, whatever you want to give upon what should be improved, how I can improve my teaching methods, and that will personally benefit for my personal assessment. Okay. So I really hope that everyone will provide the genuine feedback. The next thing is I had really a very good experience while teaching to this class, and that will always be cherished throughout my life. Okay. The next thing is I just wish all of you will really do very good in programming and if you take up future courses. And I really wish all of you a very good luck, not just for the exams sake, but for all the future endeavors that you'll take up in your life. Okay. So all of you, I wish a very good luck to all of you. Thank you so much for just supporting me for all the time. So thank you so much, and please provide your valuable feedback. Okay.